It's a great pleasure. I have here another speaker of WebExpo, Alistair. He's an entrepreneur, writer, lecturer. Right now, what are you doing the most?
Too many different things. Right now I'm enjoying being here in Prague, but
Great.
Lots of things.
You wrote a book about startups and starting companies.
Yeah, so I've written a few books on fields of web performance and then analytics. Last book was called Complete Web Monitoring, which was really how to measure the experience your users have. That means not just how fast is the website, but what are they thinking and what did they do and could they do it and those kinds of things. Right now I'm writing on a book with a colleague of mine, Ben Yoskowitz, called Lean Analytics. And if you're familiar with the Lean startup model, so Lean Analytics, the startup model says build, measure, learn. And do it iteratively, keep doing it, right? And the whole reason you do that is because you don't want to build something nobody wants. So you need to learn through instrumentation and analysis. And the Lean Analytics book is about, it's more detail on how to actually go about learning, what kinds of metrics to look at depending on what kind of startup you are and where in your life cycle you are.
What do you think is most important in today's world starting a company? What should
the biggest thing to learn in starting a company right now is that the risks have almost all gone. Now, that sounds strange to say because people are saying startups are failing all the time. But the point is that it costs almost nothing to test something. And so if you are trying to understand the growth of a startup and you're trying to understand the growth of an industry, you go and test something for almost nothing and you don't waste your time. I mean, to me, the biggest risk for an entrepreneur is they spend 10 years building something nobody wants. That means that, I mean, when you really think about your life, that's a sixth or seventh of your life, building something nobody wants. That's a big risk, right? Forget all this VC money. That's a risk. So instead of building something nobody wants, why don't you figure out what people want first and then build it? And you see everything from platforms like Kickstarter, where you can say, I have an idea, who wants some? And you build the demand before you build the product, right? We couldn't do that before the internet. Now I can check and see if 1,000 people want to buy my product before I make one of them. I know my business is successful, and if nobody wants it, I just don't do it, right? Another example, one of the companies in Year One Labs, which was a startup accelerator we ran in Montreal, wanted to build something with parents, around parenting. So they had about 10 different ideas, and they ran ads that said things like, tell us how you decide what food to feed your child, click here for a survey, or tell us how you manage sleep with lots of kids, click here. And they had one that said, tell us how you manage the chores your children have to do and the rewards they get for doing those chores. So they ran these ads, and the one on chores got a lot more clicks, lots more, like way more than all the others. And then the number of people that filled out the survey telling about it was like 80%. So now they had 100 people's email addresses, they knew people were interested in that subject, and they had 100 surveys to tell them what to go build. The total cost for that was $300.
Wow, that's cool.
That's no risk. The problem with the risk is people who take $1 million in funding and build something without checking to see if anyone wants it. So the biggest change to your question, the biggest thing entrepreneurs need to know is you have to identify the risky things first and then test them first for very little money. What people don't like to admit is that the risky thing is almost always, does anybody care?
You are preparing a new company. In which field would be your next company?
I'd love to start a new company. I've got a lot of ideas right now. At the moment, I'm helping run Strata, which is O'Reilly's big data interface technology company conference. Very interesting conference that runs twice a year. There's certainly a lot of excitement in the big data space. And Coradiant was doing a lot of web performance stuff. There is still a lot of work to be done in the field of cloud performance, cloud computing. So there's no shortage of opportunities. But again, if I told you what company I was going to start without having people ready to buy whatever I was going to make, it wouldn't be that interesting. So the trick is to find something that I can validate with people quickly.
And what's your biggest passion? Is it writing books or giving lectures or?
It's probably electronic music. I'm actually leaving here to fly to Seattle to run a conference called Decibel, which is a big electronic music festival that's happening there. If I was any good at electronic music, then I would probably be doing that. But other than that, I mean, I like, what I like doing is trying to find someone who's got a great idea and help them turn that into something real. Because that's what makes all the difference is when you can actually build something people care about and see it takes flight. You know, as a kid, I used to run a bulletin board on my computer, on BBS, before the web. People would dial up and they'd do stuff.
Yes.
I'm showing you how old I am now. And there was no feeling that was as good as when you turned that on and people started to use it. It became alive, right? It had its own life and it was changing people's lives. And so anytime you can help someone build something that just changes the way people do things and sort of makes better use and makes things more efficient, is just amazing.
Yeah. But back to the electronic music, you are playing as a DJ, so you must be good.
I DJ. I'm okay. I DJ a lot.
What's your DJ name, or can we find you on somewhere?
I do have one. If you go to SoundCloud, Croll, ACROLL is my SoundCloud page.
Okay, great.
But what I found is that, and I talked about this in my presentation this morning, that electronic, once upon a time being a DJ was really cool. You had all the music and you had the airtime. Now having an audience is really cool, right? I know friends of mine who are great DJs who go to Burning Man and they play and no one's there. But if you have the ability to get 2,000 people together for a party, then you're cool. And that's something very important for startups to realize, is that the product isn't cool, it's the attention that's cool. Facebook is an empty vessel. It's just a blank thing without people. The attention that Facebook has is what's cool. And people need to realize that the competitive advantage in today's web market is not your product, it's your audience. If you have an engaged audience, you give me an engaged audience, I can do anything, right? Give me a product, there's no guarantee. If I said to you today, I'm going to build a social network, it's going to be huge like Facebook. You don't disbelieve me because you don't think I can build it. You don't disbelieve me because you don't think I can get people to do it. The risk in today's market is almost always the attention.
Great.
DJs have the same problem, sadly.
Back to the conference, are you going to some other lectures? You have
so I've seen a few of them. My good friend Human, who dropped in at the last minute, was talking about web performance, and it was very interesting to listen to that. There's very good studies that show that if you make your website faster, it significantly improves everything from conversion rate to time on site, all the metrics we care about, but nobody really thinks about performance. And so that's an area that people are spending more and more time worrying about these days.
Okay, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Enjoy your stay in Prague.
Oh, I am.
And I hope to listen to some of your music on SoundCloud.
Hope you like it. Thanks.